Hi everyone and welcome to another random channeled message reading. In this type of reading, the cards just offer very short random channeled messages to everyone who might be interested. So some things might resonate strongly with you, other things might not resonate at all. So just take in what resonates, take in the truth that you can find and just discard anything else. And also in these types of readings, you don't have to choose any card, you don't have to do anything. Just listen to the reading and see what resonates and what doesn't. These types of readings are really useful, when someone asks the universe for some guidance, or they are thinking or contemplating about a specific subject, and then something like this just randomly pops up on their channel or social media or whatever, and then they can, see the synchronicity and see that the universe has actually responded to their request of guidance, but in a very indirect manner. So the personality and views and opinions of the reader or whoever does the reading won't interfere, and it is exactly that element of disconnectedness that makes these readings so useful and special, because this is where the reader has absolutely no other role but to deliver the message, and it's you and the universe conversing with each other. So let's get to the first message, and there we have the Prince of Pentacles and Eight of Wands. Now these cards suggest that you might be either a person who is thinking about starting maybe a business, maybe a collaboration, a project, or have a lot of really good business, hobby, or lucrative ideas, but you are not very sure if this time is appropriate, or if it's a good idea to start anything like that right now, with the global turmoil and the economic instability being a major factor in everything. Or you could have been someone who already started a project, who is already into a business, but it is stagnating a little bit. You're awaiting communication or any kind of feedback or for things to evolve further. Well, the Eight of Wands in either case is a really good sign, because it either says that messages, communication, or relevant evolution of your situation is coming either from abroad, from the internet, from a more distant place where you might also have to travel to. But at the same time, it can also represent that very relevant evolution or significant progress is going to be achieved in the month of August, and it is really advised to wait, be patient, and don't really, get desperate that you're stagnating until August, because relevant information or progress is definitely heading your way, and only then will you know if it is a good idea and it's worth continuing, or if the present moment economic situation is definitely going to put a standstill to everything. So, if you want to withdraw, or if you want to, freeze everything, you will have the relevant information. But as I said, for other people, it could be that you will be invited to travel, and it is only when you're going to travel, or someone traveling to you, when you will know exactly what you need to do or not do next. But regardless of the future of this, regardless how this situation is going to play out, the cards still say that your idea, your vision of this, the project or business, whatever you envisaged, is a really good and viable plan. It has a lot of potential. So even if things are not ideal in the present moment, don't discard it, don't throw it in the trash bin, but rather, preserve it and maybe put it on the shelf for a more ideal time, because the idea in itself has really much potential to it. But the prince is really immature. He has a lot of initiative. He has a lot of ideas and effort that he can put into the work or the project or whatever, just that he doesn't have the experience yet. He doesn't have all the information yet, neither the clarity, neither the big picture. So more clarity or another external person's experience is going to help you greatly, so just be patient. The next message is the Empress and the Six of Cups reversed. Now this can also mean different things for different people, but the Empress, I sense that it is the spirit, the soul of either a grandmother, mother, parent, or a maternal figure, or a very beneficial female who was part of your childhood, and you have reached a point in your life, in your karmic journey, when you need to heal or close something that is still inside of you, a reminiscence of a childhood event or something that might have been unpleasant or traumatic. This could represent, a broken down relationship or connection with a family member, a parent, or it could represent any kind of emotional problem that has been very passively bothering you ever since childhood. And the spirit of this female, may it be a grandmother or an ancestor or a maternal figure, is guiding you, helping you, supporting you, perhaps sending you dreams, triggering your intuitive senses or your premonition. She is trying to guide you, maybe communicate indirectly through visions and dreams and anything like that. And ultimately, she is blessing you, she is giving you strength to find either forgiveness or to release the emotional blockage, to release the hurt, to release the unpleasant experience. Or for some people, it might actually be a very positive experience. Their childhoods or the world as it was at the time of their childhood was so positive, uplifting, where they felt alive in their lives, they felt free, they felt really, really excited for the future. So that is a very powerful nostalgia, which just highlights the contradiction between those times and modern times. Because, some people might not actually have an emotional blockage that remains from childhood, or neither do they have a conflict or some kind of burned bridges with their family. It's actually the positivity of the past which is keeping them blocked, because those were really positive, uplifting, or maybe highly nostalgic times, and we just cannot process the difference between those times and the present moment, where the present moment lacks that playfulness, the optimism, the magic, the miracle of being alive. So the spirit of this female is helping you either adapt, healing you, guiding you, sending you power, sending you strength or faith to resolve whatever this Six of Cups is, even if it's some problem that remains from the distant past, from childhood, or even if it's just that massive contradiction, that inner dichotomy between the past and the present, because the past can seem like a totally different dimension where things were so much easier, so much less complicated, and all of us must accept that those times are never going to come back. They're only alive inside of us, and that's about it. But of course, that doesn't mean that the future is all doom and gloom, because we have the power to create the same setup once again, where life can be just as magical as it was in the past, but it requires a massive change and basically disconnection from modern society. But either way, the spirit of that female, may it be a mother, a grandmother, or a female ancestor, is guiding you, she is protecting you, she is nurturing your soul and sending you dreams and visions, so that you can find the strength to create an emotional comfort for yourself even in the present. Alternatively, it could be also possible that the spirit of this female would like to apologize to you for something they may have done with or without intent in the past that might have hurt you or might have deteriorated the relationship between you and them. Just that because they're no longer physically alive, this is the only way they can apologize and they can ask for your forgiveness. So either way, the keyword is definitely closure, emotional closure. Now moving on, the next card is the 10 of Wands and the 9 of Wands reversed, and this represents a situation where you might be so very tired, so you might feel so very oppressed emotionally in the present moment, because when you look at your life, all you see is duty, responsibility, work, endurance, having to survive, having to defend, every single gesture of yours, having to struggle. And perhaps the hardest part is being there for others, maybe supporting your family, supporting your loved ones, being strong, a rock, a wall for others so they can rely on you, so they can lean on you basically. And you have no problem with this because this is something you have taken on yourself. No one is, holding the gun to your forehead that either you do this or it's over. But still you have reached a moment when you're so very tired. This is where hope or despair, worry or even optimism, none of this makes any sense anymore. You don't really care. May the future bring hardship or losses or a happy life or a miracle. You really don't care anymore about the outcome. You don't even care about the past or the present or the future. You just know that you need to put this cross down before it crushes you, before you crumble under the weight of, your existence, your everyday existence, your daily routines. That very big psychological pressure that is on you 24/7. And you also might be a public person or someone who works all the time with others. And if that's the case, your situation is even more severe because you feel like you're at the end of your strength, that you're totally burned out and you just can't take another step forward anymore. You're that exhausted and tired. But this is very strange because the 9 of Wands reversed represents that there is still so much strength, so much creativity, so much inner resourcefulness inside of you. But this is where you just cannot find the motivation, you cannot find the inner determination to put it to good use. So basically, this is maybe the first time when it's your own fatigue and your own exhaustion that causes you a moment of stagnation. But for you guys, the message is quite simple. The universe and your guides know very well how difficult it is for you right now. They know that you have done more than you could possibly do in the very recent past to make things work, to be there for others, and of course even to, promote progress and forward evolution in your situation and for all the things that are important for you. And your efforts have not been in vain. But maybe you were the type of person who is one step ahead of everyone, so you really hurried, you really were so very intensely locked into your purpose that you have done much more than your condition even allowed you. And this is why you're so exhausted and out of options and out of that inner fire in the present moment, because you have already done everything, you have completed everything. And also the 10 of Wands, you're at the end of your journey, the specific journey where you have to carry that cross, the burdens, the responsibilities, the duties on your shoulder. So the universe says that this is definitely going to change. All those ones, as you can see in the picture, are definitely going to be removed to ease your burden and to give time to breathe, time to relax, time to just be yourself and rediscover yourself, because it's very strange that you have done a very powerful and relevant inner work of self-discovery in the very recent past, and you have put all of that so much so and so intensely to use to create progress and momentum in your own life and in the lives of those people who surround you, who you care for, that you have exhausted, for example, like 10 years of inner power in just a couple of months. So from this perspective, you're back to square one, because just like a supermassive star, you have burst and exploded, and you have consumed all your power. Basically, you have consumed almost 10 years worth of inner power, if this makes sense at all, in one go, in one big explosion of creativity and inner work. And now basically you actually need to reinvent yourself and rediscover yourself once more, because you have quantum leaped 10 years of karma forward. So basically, from a karmic perspective, you're way ahead in your future, and that's why this blockage, and that's why this fatigue and this inner standstill is so very powerful in your life. But don't worry, the universe is working on it, and very soon you will have your moment of rest, the respite that you have asked for, and things are going to change from there. Of course, another message is, don't expect your life to be the same. Don't expect yourself to be in service of anyone except your own being. This is where you having to carry the wands, the responsibilities on your shoulder. Now that lifestyle, even that karmic journey, even if it's part of your soul path, that has to stop, because you outlived this. And if you keep on doing this, well, you're just going to dig an early grave for yourself, because your body is going to be consumed by all that stress and all that worry and all that responsibility that you do for yourself and other people. So this is where it has to end. And the fact that you have done like 10 years worth of karmic work ahead in the future in a couple of like cosmic milliseconds, that basically assured that the next 10 years of your life can be just about you and your own being, your own needs and your own preferences. Even if it's just fantasy, even if it's just inner exploration, it's absolutely fine, because you earned this. Now moving on to the next message, here we have the Eight of Cups reversed and the Judgment reversed. Now this spiral speaks for someone who has done a massive leap of faith, a massive risk in the past, 8 months ago or maybe 2 years ago, where you either abandoned a way of life, you abandoned something, which had strings attached, which took away your inner liberty, but it did offer you security and stability, it did offer you safety. Or it could be about a job, a career, a home, a family, a place. It can be anything that has to do with abandonment, including a relationship, marriage, etc. The thing is that it did offer you some kind of stability, but it didn't really make you happy. Your soul was no longer in a right place, and you felt this massive guidance to just take a massive risk, take a massive leap of faith, and abandon and leave behind everything. And it wasn't like you running away from your problems because you confronted all your problems. It was just time to go. But the universe or your guides, or maybe your own higher self or your soul, or basically just you and yourself, you have been promised opportunities, or a chance to step into a new something that can replace whatever you left behind. But unfortunately, that didn't happen yet. So the abandonment, the big leap of faith, cutting ties with a life that no longer served you, did happen. and it wasn't easy. Emotionally, it was really, really challenging, and it might have took you 8 months just to come to terms with everything that happened, because I think that the abandonment, the closure, you leaving everything happened so instantly, abruptly, that it took you a lot of time to process it, and you have done a really, really good job, because you're a totally different person, you're in totally different circumstances where you are much closer to yourself than any time in your life. But the judgment reverse, the divine timing, when something should have saved you, when something should have offered you a bright future, or at least something to take the place of what you left behind, didn't happen yet. So you're starting to doubt, you're starting to be scared. You don't regret your decision, you don't want to go back, you don't want to return, you don't regret that you made the choice. But you are worried that if the divine or your faith or karma, or call it however you want, doesn't intervene, doesn't guide you, doesn't help you, that divine timing doesn't come together perfectly, well, then you will have no other option than to start everything from scratch, and that is going to be so very difficult. And it's not like you're afraid to do it. It's not like you're lazy or anything like that. You are willing to work for it, you're willing to do any sacrifice, but you know that it will take you such a long time to be on floating line again, that by that time you will have exhausted all your soul, all your emotions. It will tire you out so very much that you'll be just an empty shell. So what's the point of doing everything from scratch? Because you know that it's going to be snail's pace. You might need new studies, you might need new courses, you might need a lot of investment in yourself which you don't have. Either is the resources you don't have, the time that you don't have, or basically that inner emotional strength that you have to just keep on going, keep on studying, keep on, filling that cup one drop of water at a time, and that will take forever. So you know that this in itself is a self-defeating goal, and it's only for survival, the sake of survival, and you really don't want to do that. But you might not have any options in the present moment, because that divine timing, that divinely orchestrated setup didn't appear in your life yet. So you're really there, you have a huge spiritual question mark around you, where you just don't know what you're missing. You don't know if it's you not doing something right, or if it's just really a question of time, but you no longer see the logic in the time, because you really, really need it in your life in the present moment. Because, apart from this, spiritually, materially, maybe opportunity wise, there's so much going on in your life, and you really need this final moment of support. And the message for you guys is, it's perfectly understandable why you're at the very end of your patience, but in the worst case scenario, December this year is going to be a moment until which whatever needs to happen is going to happen, but don't expect it to come to you in a big flash in one single moment, because it could be just a build up where right now you don't see any improvement in your life, but by the end of December this year, when you look back, you might see that you're living a totally different life, and everything just did come together, but piece by piece, one element of the puzzle and then the next and the next. So don't lose patience, don't lose hope, don't lose belief, because it is happening. Just that divine timing is really, really mysterious, and no one can know when that moment actually is. So you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't make any mistake, you didn't make any wrong choice. It is just a question of time, really. Now, moving on to the next card, we have the Nine of Coins and the Star. These cards tell a story that your life has changed profoundly because you learned how to embody a very healthy sense of self-worth. In the past, you always knew that you were a very intelligent person, both emotionally and of course intellectually, and you had so much creativity, so much passion, so much soul inside of you, but still materially, and anything that has to do with outside reality, so not just materially and money, your life didn't reflect your inner truth basically. So you were never really a very appreciative person of who you are, of your life, and everything that has to do with you. You basically didn't appreciate all that much everything that you have within you, your own efforts, your own good intent, your own spirit, your own way of being. So, because you couldn't appreciate it, and it wasn't really your fault, because, sometimes what external reality reflects, we tend to believe that more than whatever is alive inside of us. But all of this changed, and you stepped into a state of deep gratitude where finally the blindfold was lifted and you saw yourself in all your splendor, in all your glory and greatness, and you just thought to yourself, where there is no way you cannot appreciate all the gifts that the universe gave you when you were born, because inside of you, what is inside of you, your spirit, your soul, your mind, your imagination, your philosophy, your attitude to others and life itself, your gentleness, your deep appreciation of everything, it makes you an infinitely wealthy person. Like true divine prosperity is inside of you, and maybe you're one of those kind of people who emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually are the wealthiest people alive today. The difference is that you value innocence and purity more than anything else. So, of course, you are not a scientist at CERN, for example, and of course, you are not a multimillionaire author, because all those things require certain compromises which you simply don't want to accept, and you rather not be rich and famous and successful rather than to darken your own soul level innocence and to upset your inner child. All those things were never worth it for you, but that doesn't mean that you don't have the potential. It is just a choice, and the best choice you ever made, because you were never meant to be ripped apart by a collective. You were never meant to be a VIP. You were never meant to be a star, because you wouldn't accept the downside, the compromises, and everything that would have darkened and polluted your soul. So you're very happy with yourself. Just that you would really, really, really like more independence in your life, especially material independence, but without having to sacrifice and sell your talents, sell your superiority, sell those things that make you so unique and wonderful and pure. But you really don't see any other way how you can have that life of independence which you so much desire for yourself. And this is where the star card advises you not to give up hope, not to give up believing in yourself, not to stop believing in the benevolence of the universe, because it is definitely coming to you and you don't have to work for it, and it's not going to be hard. It's not going to be something full of compromises and strings attached. It can either be a display of big good fortune, where maybe you win something, maybe you are at the right place at the right time. Maybe if this is your situation, I would definitely recommend buying a lottery ticket. But it can also be a big karmic harvest, where just something falls into your lap without you having to do anything. But this is definitely coming. your independence is going to be offered to you, especially now when you don't ask for luxury or anything like that. You just ask for your own sacred space and time where you can just be with yourself, unrestricted by material conditions, and this is it, and this is definitely going to come. So believe more than ever, believe in yourself, believe in your worth, and that you have absolutely worked for this and deserve this, because it's coming. Now the last message is the Six of Swords and the Ace of Cups reversed. Now these cards speak to a person who is like an endless reservoir of dreams, of fantasy, of imagination. You have a very strong artistic soul. You have so very many skills and talents, and maybe even extrasensorial perceptions. So inside of you, all your waking life, you had so many things going on. It's almost like you lived this reality, but in a very parallel way, simultaneously. You also lived a totally different kind of reality. Maybe your artistic world, or maybe the world of arts, of feelings, of emotions, of studying psychology, or it can be absolutely anything. But you were really troubled because you didn't really know which one of your dreams, which one of your goals was meant to be. You didn't know which one you had to invest all your effort into. But this doesn't mean like human effort, physical effort, but rather, the effort of believing in it, desiring it. Because when you have so many dreams and desires, and those are especially innocent desires, not, like obsessions or really strong my way or the highway, just very innocent and light-hearted dreams and, those very light-hearted desires, the small pleasures of life, or maybe experiencing a moment of magic, or doing a specific activity, doing this and that, accumulating certain, life experiences, but also making the lives of others more magical and beautiful and special with projecting your own on it, adding your own artistic touch to everything that you do. But because you had so many different things inside of you, many times you were troubled because you just didn't know what you truly wanted to do. And, mentally, all your contemplation and, rationalizing it and thinking it through didn't help that much. Because, you love all your dreams. They're like children to you. They're like parts of your soul. You couldn't really choose one over the other. And neither didn't you want to have it your way or the highway. You always ask the universe for guidance. Well, until everything changed and you found your biggest dream. You found your biggest desire. You found your true soul mission in this life. Of course, because you have done so many in the past. You have completed a lot of things, especially, artistically, spiritually, psychologically. So you have a lot of history of completions and experiences. But this is where this dream is bigger and, more magical than any other. And you feel towards the rest that somehow you may have completed them more symbolically. Even if just a small gesture manifested, it is still enough for you. But this big dream of yours, now you're so very determined to live this, to experience this, but you feel that you're kind of running out of time because this dream of yours is about love. You are searching for that big, big, big love of your life where, the magic of love can simply possess you, fill your whole being with power, and you just want to exist in that dimension of love with that very special person, and you want the rest of your life to just be about you and your love story and, the magic that you can bring to it. And you have been searching for it. That Six of Swords represents your journey, the transition, and, very relevant experiences have been part of this transition where you saw so very many things, and the universe has guided you to observe so many things which wouldn't resonate with you. For example, what is the most unhealthy expression of love, the difference between bodily love and true soul level love, the different layers of love, etc. But you're still not that much closer finding that very special person, which by now you're absolutely convinced that they exist somewhere and it is fated and they need you just as much as you need them, but you simply cannot understand why it hasn't happened yet, why nothing really guided you in their direction. Of course, you have been guided in so very many ways, and the lessons, you all of them you appreciate, because you wouldn't possess your truth without them. But since that Ace of Cups is reversed, your dream is starting to fade away, it is starting to die out. You know, that emotional energy, all the love that you have accumulated inside of you, which you want to give to that very special person, you feel that that is oozing out, leaking out, and that you're at the end of your transition, you're at the end of the road, but in a very unfulfilled way, where you have seen no choice but to give it up. And this is where the universe advises you that you aren't really at the end of the transition. You still have certain, events, experiences, information, an inner psychological reconfiguration to do. And it's about the destinies of two people, so it's not really just about you. The other person, even if you know that they're, psychologically more stable, more powerful than you, well, they still have issues. They still need to be made ready, for example. They need to wish this as much as you do. So some things just don't depend neither on you or even the universe, because that other person has their own pace, their own timing, their own problems in their lives. So this will come to you, that very magical moment, exactly when you least expect it, and exactly when your soul is going to be dry, and when all of the magic of love, the water coming from the Holy Grail, from the image, the Ace of Cups, when the water is depleted, when you almost feel that this is the end, that is the moment when it's gonna come. So since you feel that way right now, it means that it cannot be that far off. So it doesn't matter in the present moment if you're hopeful, if you're desperate, if you're sad and crying, if you're suffering, or whatever, because it is still coming. Because, whatever you seek and whoever you seek also seeks you. So even if you feel tired and you feel that you're at the end of the road, it's no problem really, because it's up to that other person then, because everything in the universe, in a mirror quantic universe, is in pairs, and the pairs balance themselves out. So whenever you don't have the strength, your fated lover has to have it. So it's absolutely fine. If you feel as if your cup is being depleted and dried out, that is not really a problem, because that means that the cup of the other person is being replenished, and they'll have plenty of emotional love energy for both of you. So even in your case, the big message is to be patient and not to abandon hope and not to lose your desire and your dream. Just don't obsess about it. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope these messages helped you and you found a little bit of guidance. Please stay safe and remain blessed, everyone. Until next time, bye for now.